Looking to dominate your dynasty? Whether you're a seasoned college football strategist or just starting your journey, PoodleCFB.com is your ultimate game changer. Get in-depth analysis, expert strategies, and cutting-edge tools designed to give you the edge over everyone in your dynasty. Gain access to exclusive spreadsheets, dynasty ranking, custom player tools, and insider tips through the guide to outsmart your rivals and dominate your league. Step up your game at PoodleCFB.com. Make sure to use code Poodle for 10% off your order. What's going on, everybody? It's Poodle back with another CFB 25 video. In today's video, I'm going to go over the top 5 best recruiting tips you need to follow if you want to succeed in Dynasty mode. Before we get to the video, guys, as always, give this video a big thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe if you're new, turn on that noti bell, and if you haven't already, check out PoodleCFB.com, one of the fastest growing CFB 25 communities, and we're only getting stronger, especially as we head into CFB 26 season. I know it's a little early, but it's going to come around very quickly. Get in there while you still can, guys. Come join the info sharing. You don't want to miss out on early access videos, the Discord chat, the PS5 and Xbox Dynasty League that is starting pretty soon. And of course, guys, all the data studies we do in there, everything's laid out in a very easy to digest format. So make sure you check it out. Use code Poodle for 10% off. Let's get into it. So the first one, guys, here is that I did make a video going over all the ideal ones, but I'm going to cut it down very short for the purposes of this video, is the new best ideal pitch in the game. And I'm going to showcase it right here with my 80 guy, and that's going to be the double hard sell. Now, the double hard sell only works if you do have A- or above on grades when doing this, on all the grades you're doing this with. So you want to be able to double hard sell only when you have 80. If you have anything less than 80, you can't do that, and I will go over what you do next. So with this, you want to do one complete hard sell with 3 greens, A- or above, and then you want to do a second hard sell where there's one red one. Obviously, you can't do the same pitch, and just make sure they're all A- or above. Based on our studies on PoodleCFB.com in our Discord chat, it actually showed that if you did a hard sell and then you just added miscellaneous 40 points, whether it was DM the player, etc., you would get up X amount of points. If you did it with a soft sell, X amount of points. If you did this double hard sell with A- or above, we actually went almost to commit. It was a crazy boost. This clearly is the new ideal pitch, or the best one. Now, this kind of ties into the whole sway method earlier in the year. The difference is you don't have to waste a week swaying and hoping that it works. People used to sway, it would fail, it doesn't work. It worked, but now the recruits are almost closed. Early in the year, it made more sense, but now that we have all these ideal coaching builds and all these glitchy recruiting methods, we're closing players out so quickly now that it doesn't really matter if you try swaying, because by the time you actually complete the sway and you get where you want to be, they're 1 week away from committing. You don't have enough time to actually regain your tread using your sway method. Now, if you don't have 80 points, you're below that, what you want to be doing is what we're going to call the hard sell, soft sell. And you could see that very clearly with, I believe it was the second guy with 80 over here. Plus, anyone below 80, I'll show it to you guys with just about anyone here. But this guy right here, 75. If you don't have 80 points, that means you can't do 2 hard sells. What you want to do is first hard sell the 3 greens for sure. That's exactly what you want to be doing. And then you want to go ahead and do a soft sell with 2 greens and 1 red, and you can fill it out with miscellaneous points, whatever fills the gap. Again, if you have 60 points, you can only do the hard sell, soft sell. If you have 75, you can do hard sell, soft sell, DM the player. Now remember, what's really great about doing this method is that actually if you have 2 final results, like you have 2 final guesses for your motivations, 2 pitches, and you're down to 2 and you don't want to guess, it's fine. You don't have to guess anymore. You could just do 1 and 1, because 1 will be the correct, 1 won't be. Now, when you want to do this is when you're absolutely sure of the 2 greens. So if you're down to your final 2 and you're not sure if they have greens, or you're not sure which one is which, and they both have the question marks, you might not want to do it. But if you can clearly see that the last 2 both have 2 greens and 1 question mark on each side, go ahead and do it. You know you're locked in. This actually allows you to hard sell even a week earlier than you typically could using process of elimination, and same goes on for the soft sell. I have a whole video going over this, so make sure you do check that out. The next one is going to be keeping archetypes and abilities in mind when recruiting. My new favorite thing to do is recruiting based on archetypes. Obviously, I also bring in best available. But for instance, usually I wouldn't go after a field general quarterback, but now that I know that they're the fastest growing archetype. Field general grows the quickest due to their fast buckets with their main thing, which is going to be accuracy, IQ, throw power. They grow very fast compared to scramblers, who grow that very slowly. Since accuracy is the most important attribute for a quarterback, being able to grow it quickly like a field general does makes them grow much quicker. Scramblers don't. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you go over on PoodleCFB.com, again, the spreadsheet that we have goes over each fast bucket. And if you don't want to go through a spreadsheet, you can also go into the roster here and click on players, and you can see the skill point allocation and what it costs per archetype. You'll notice that for a field general quarterback, it is very cheap to upgrade accuracy. For a scrambler, it is very expensive, which basically shows fast for slow buckets. And this is a way to raise the floor and ceiling of your team, because essentially they're going to grow without doing much, just existing, which is super beneficial, because that means that if you play really well too, they're going to get bonuses for existing and then bonuses for playing well as well. And you want to be keeping abilities in mind as well. So one of the fallbacks of this guy is that he only has bronze step up, which means he's going to spend a lot of points on abilities. Why that's okay is because field generals upgrade very quickly, so he can spend points on abilities. But you want to be going after guys with gold, platinum abilities like strong grip right here. This basically means that this guard won't ever spend points on the strong grip ability because he's almost maxed out. And because they spend points on abilities, you end up in a situation when you recruit a guy like this, let's say, no abilities, not the best stats, he's going to have to send a lot of points over to unlock abilities or do it for ratings. He won't have both, and it's going to be unlikely unless you have an elite 4 or 5 year career with him where you have an elite seasons and you're getting stats and you got a lot really lucky with motivator. You want to make sure you're getting players that come in with pre-built abilities. That way they don't spend points there and you can actually raise the floor and ceiling of your players. Next, of course, kind of ties into this, keep position changes in mind. So one of my favorite things to do is actually recruit based on position changes in mind. And I made a video going over the best position changes in the game. Make sure you check that out. But one that I really love as an example are end run stoppers. I always recruit run stoppers, and why? Let's go into why. First off, they get inside disruptor, outside disruptor super easily, best run stuffing abilities in the game, and more importantly, they convert to defensive tackle simply. So my problem with defensive tackle this year, if you go into your prospect list and you go look, there's a lot of power rushers and speed rushers, not a lot of great run stopper ones, and they don't grow that well. So what you want to do is you want to get ends that are run stoppers who have pretty good weight and height. And you'll notice that they actually come built in with 87 block shed. Give him like a season or two to get up to like an 87, 88 run stopper. Switch him over to defensive tackle. He'll boost up to like a 93 to 96 overall defensive tackle. He'll get platinum or gold inside disruptor and outside disruptor. He's going to be an absolutely elite run stopping beast. And it's way easier to grow at end than it is at DT. Same thing with bringing in cornerbacks who are zone archetype. You can move them over to safety. They're elite, fast zone safeties, so on and so forth. So when I recruit, I look at that. And why is that important? A lot of people actually don't go for these players. When you go for an end, you're looking for an elite edge rusher. That's going to be speed or power rushing. I've noticed people in the first line of recruits with 5 stars will be like, he's only a run stopper. I don't really need a run stopper. I'm going to just pass on the run stopper. It's fine. I'm not going to go for him. You can easily sneak a lot of these weird offish like zone corners because everyone wants slot corners, run stopping ends. You could sneak them into your recruiting class at 5-star level and then switch them over to DT, and suddenly you have the best DT in the game. Make sure you keep position changes in mind when recruiting. Next is always going to be sending your max hours when recruiting. A lot of people tell me, hey, is it better to send 50 per player so I can get more players on my board? Hey, I have 80 hours, but I'm just going to send 70 so I can accrue 10. Always send max hours. Always, always, always when you're going for your 5 stars and your elite players. You do not want to play around, especially when you follow my coach build. You get bonuses for every 10 points you spend. So spending up to 80 versus 60 actually gives you 2 extra bonuses. Make sure you're always spending your max hours. And when playing into that as well, the only caveat to that when setting your max hours is you're going to want to go ahead and, unfortunately the face cam did cut out, so just ignore that, but let's keep it moving, guys. So the only caveat to sending 80 hours or max hours at all time is going to be the rug pull method. What I refer to as the rug pull method, or what I mean by the rug pull method, is that I try to scare people. So those first few weeks, you'll notice, right, when you go to prospect list, you filter by 5-star, right? You see all these guys. At this point in the recruiting process, as you guys see with any of these guys, it's all close. Everyone's gonna be putting their max hours. If you get through a few weeks and you have a huge lead, you know the lead I'm talking about, where like you could pretty much double the guy's bar behind you, triple it, quadruple it, and you'd still have a lead, where basically everyone else is gonna basically pull out. That's when I employ the rug pull method. What I'll do is I'll actually pull all my points, if not all of my points, and start applying them to other places. Now, this is how I actually secure like 14 to 15 5-stars, because realistically as a 5-star school, you only have enough to get about 10 or 12. What I'll do is I'll always have like 2 or 3 guys that I absolutely obliterate other guys on. And what I'll do is I'll pull all the hours off of them. And then what I'll do, I'll go ahead and take those hours and apply it to someone else that's being under recruited, whether that be a 5-star or whether that be a 4-star. And that's essentially how I always get my 10 to 15 players each year, is I recruit 10 to 12 heavily. I rug pull about 2 or 3 of them. I get my additional 3 people that way. That's also what I also use it for visit points. It really depends on what you want it for, but definitely employ that method. The next thing, guys, is that pipeline actually really means nothing, at least in my opinion, outside of starting interest. So pipeline for me is only important for starting interest. As you see, this is a Georgia recruit. Georgia's at the top. USC, this is a Hawaii recruit, but USC has a good pipeline there. They're near the top, and so on and so forth. You'll notice this across the board with a lot of players. If you have a team that has really bad pipelines, you'll actually notice that when recruiting, you're probably not the top of any of these boards when you recruit a guy that's in your area. So let's say you get a guy who's like a 5-star or a 4-star, who's pretty good, and you're like a 1 or 2-star program. You may actually end up seeing your guy you might be on their board, primarily because of the fact that you're in their pipeline. But you'll notice after one advance as like a 1, 2, 3-star school, you'll fall right off that guy's board. So pipelines don't matter because you still have to do all the hard selling, all the recruiting, all the visits, so it really doesn't matter. Many people choose teams and do a lot of things based on pipelines. I wouldn't overemphasize it. If you were an elite recruiter and you have the triple elite recruiter stack and you follow all my tips, I recruit guys out of my pipeline about as much, if not more, than my own pipeline. I don't worry about that too much. When you're a little school or small school, it does help you with starting interest, but you're probably going to lose the fight overall anyways. So it actually might provide a false positive to a lot of people. A lot of people recruit guys in their pipeline thinking, oh, I'm going to win it. And then a guy with the triple elite recruiter packaging, coordinators, and all the right packages in the ideal coach build actually end up getting screwed by this. Now, one bonus tip for you guys that I do want to talk about here. So call this tip 6, but it's really just a bonus tip. When you go to your coach abilities, there are a lot of abilities that actually scientifically have been proven to do basically nothing, or at bare minimum be pretty worthless. Over on poodlecfb.com, we do have a lot of the stuff in our ideal coach builds. We talk about it in the Discord chat. We've done some data tests on this. Program builder, I generally stay away from this because all of the ones that have to do with their pipeline aren't really that impactful. Again, these are 12 points each. If you were to do all 3 of these, it would be 36 points. Plus you have to unlock program builder, right, for an additional 20. That's 56 points. I see people all the time tell me, hey, I got my program builder up. Hey, I like your build, but I did the pipeline boost to get a little extra bonus. If you don't max out your recruiter and your coordinator recruiting, and you end up getting good pipelines, all you're going to do is have false hope on false positives on a lot of recruits. So generally stay away from doing any ones that have to do with your pipeline. And this goes for a lot of other things. And what that kind of coincides with is under recruiter, which is going to be increased starting interest. So a lot of people will have that fourth one right there, plus the pipeline boosted, and they'll automatically think that they're in a great position to win a recruit. Again, false positives. Avoid the pipeline ones. We've done data tests with them. They don't help that much, and they don't really do much. They don't do much even if they did help, right? They just don't. Avoid pipeline abilities at all costs. I hope next year they do actually make this change, but as of now, pipelines just have not impacted my thought process when recruiting, when playing. I don't generally think about it. I do think when you're starting with like a 1 or 2 star school, picking a good pipeline can be a little beneficial early on because it does get you on some boards. It does give you some hope. It does give you something to like appreciate. Once you're a 5-star, I can go as LSU and go take someone out of Memphis, go take someone out of Tennessee. Really no problem at all. But guys, that's it for the video. If you haven't already, check out the link down below. Come check out poodlecfb.com. If you use code POODLE, you get 10% off at checkout. We're at about 100, and actually, we should have already hit 200 members by the time you're seeing this. So really big, guys. 200 members over there. We have a huge community. Some of the smartest minds, some of the most curious minds in the CFB community are all in there. So it's a great time. Come join it. And the Xbox and PS5 League did just start. PS5 started last week. Xbox started last night. So there's still a chance to get in. There's still some spots. So if you go ahead over and join, there's still a chance you can get a team. And a lot of good teams are actually still left. But that's about it. Give this video a big thumbs up. I'm out. Peace.